Good morning, good morning, good morning. Greetings to all that have joined this stream. My name is Hillman Muhammad. I'm coming to you live from the Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama, with this news segment from the Courage to Change Now News Hour. This broadcast is brought to you by an initiative on our Black Wall Street, Alabama platform, which is the initiative of education. Our Black Wall Street a platform is a 501c3 based on education. Again, my name is Hillman Muhammad. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Wall Street, Alabama, coming to you on behalf of the city of Huntsville, Alabama, and the world with the wealth of information that I would say the mainstream media have neglected to advise our community of the power of the media. We don't have a media source right now that's telling our story. And I know this week alone, I have brought three champions in our community on this station. Monday, we had the founder of Black Wealth Consultant, which is an organization that is built on many levels, many initiatives with the platform, from the platform of financial education. They also have included agricultural piece for our world. And today's topic is going to be on our Black Wall Street Courage to Change platform, which I am the creator of this movement, the Courage to Change Now. I'm coming to you early this morning. I want to beat a lot of people that are getting on, and my sympathy goes out to all of those who are getting tired of this lockdown situation that we are in. But here it is. People are clamoring to get back out there. We don't know how safe it is because we know our president even says that the media is fake media. How can we continue to depend on a media that give us false information? Right now they are hyping in you fear of movement. And I may have expressed that when I said we don't know what's happening out there. We don't know the real story because this has been an economic boycott on the world and especially America. But remember, America has been boycotting and sanctioning countries for years. Now this country is under sanction. But we don't need to if we understood our position in the world and the time that we're living in. We are in a scriptural sense of the time. It's been prophesied. Your religious leaders have been talking about this day since the beginning of this religious movement here in America and the world. The world that is talked about in the scripture as or and the time and what must be done during this time is clearly we as a black people coming up from slavery, and I'm speaking specifically to black people because black people are the ones that are at the lowest rung of the ladder, the lowest of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom, and have been there since we built this country and build the wealth for all those that come into America and take part in this wealth. And they still have left us out because we don't understand the whole system. As I pointed out before, there's three levels that we are dealing with here. We have the aristocrat, the elites that has all the monies, control 97% of the wealth. Then we have the laborers. The laborers. No, before the laborers, we have the managers, which is the government of the world, including President Trump, including President Obama, that was nothing but a manager for the elite businesses, which is made up of corporation, which America is a corporation. if you knew it. But we don't know half of what's going on with us today. And the courage to change now is bold enough to bring you news from different people in our community, and then from what is holding us back in our community. Why we, after 400 years of free labor, and really it's more than that, but we gave 300 years in chattel slavery, and then another 100 years in servitude slavery, and we still enslaved by the tax code. But I want to bring something to you today. But before I do that, I want to talk about the seriousness of our state as black people. We trust everybody but ourselves. I've been on this broadcast. I've been dealing with Black Wall Street, Alabama, to bring about us, to remind us of what happened right up from slavery, when blacks around this country started becoming productive uh, people in our community, providing services, providing product, providing an economic base in our community. And then 60 years, maybe 60 years after, they shut us all down. We were in 60 I mean 60 cities with thriving enterprises. Tulsa, Oklahoma happened to be the most recorded and documented one. But there were economic base spurring up all over America. East St. Louis was one of them. The Carolinas, the Hilton Head, where they have the island, all that was owned by blacks. We had a lot of black political leaders that were over these cities. And then they brought in Jim Crow, and they took all of that from us. Why did they do that? They didn't give us the 40 acres and the mule to start with, didn't give us the $100, but what we had in us is what we need to pull out today, and that is the seed and the presence of God that's in us, because of what where our heritage and our alignment with the author of the world, the author of the universe, the creator of everything that is seen and unseen. Ladies and gentlemen, as Malcolm said, we've been duped. We've been bamboozled. But it's time to wake up, or we're going to feel the wrath. Because what we saw in 2019, what we enjoyed in 2019, that will never happen again. We're going back into a whole new, I would say, paradigm. We're going into a whole new paradigm. And now is the time for us to be doing what I'm doing now, communicating with you. But we need your support. We, Brother Tony, I see Brother Tony is on the site. I think he's put something in the chat box, our website, where you could go to that website. We need to know if you're ready to support this movement. There's a contact tab on there. We're asking for your information. That information comes to our organization only. We will not spam you or not allow others to use your information. That's the contact tab. On the contact tab, there's also a content page that asks for your suggestion on what we should talk about, what you have on your mind. Right now, we're not hearing anything. I've been on this. We've been doing this for about 4 months now. We haven't had anyone to go to the website. We also have a donation tab because we are 501c3 organization based on education, and this is what this platform is about. It's about education, much needed education. Because I brought you someone on Monday, then I brought you another person on Wednesday that has disaster credentials and a whole other wealth of information. I am known throughout the United States because in the ministry and in the business, as my association with the Nation of Islam prior to 75, starting in 71, I have been a leader in the spiritual aspect and the business aspect throughout this country. We need to go back to that body of knowledge. I see Brother Michael from Philly is on. Brother Michael and I were in Atlanta back in 75 together in the Nation of Islam. and he know about, and I know about him, and we both know about that body of knowledge that was brought to us by our teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from a man that he say was God in person, that had a body of knowledge for the salvation and the nationhood of black people at this day and time. But we don't know it because the mainstream media made us a strictly religious group in the media. So that put us in competition with our Christian brothers, our Jewish brothers, our Hebrew brothers and sisters. But we were not that. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's job was to teach us, our people who had been totally robbed and spoiled under this slavery system, robbed of the knowledge of ourself, our true God, our language, our association, and our connection to the world. And he came with that body of knowledge, teaching us a knowledge of self. Oh man, how important is that? In a book called Message to the Black Man in America. But it's really for America, because a better black man, a more informed black man, is a better citizen wherever he's at, regardless to what religious belief or country that he come from. But what he taught us was a knowledge of ourselves. Then he taught us six important words after that as a mantra: accept your own and be yourself. Once we found out who we really was, we didn't have no problem with accepting that. But today we need to be reminded. So I'm asking you to go to the donation tab on TCTCNOW.com and give a donation. We have given to Jerry's Kid. We've even supported Willie the Whale, saved Willie the Whale years ago. I know about that. Salvation Army, the Red Cross, the United Way. All of these we support, but we can't support ourselves. So, without any further delay, I just want to introduce something, because what I want to talk about today is something that really we should be looking at and studying right now. I'm going to put it on the screen, but here it is right here. Dr. Claud Anderson, I mean, that brother has traveled this world with the experience that he had in government, in education, working to get us to understand that topic: powernomic. Powernomic. We are a powerless people because we refuse to listen to leadership that the white man don't approve. And when I say white man, I'm talking about the elites, those that have the power to institute racist policy and racist belief and racist institution. The mainstream media is the most racist institution there is. We can't get a good word or a good word from our leaders or a good image of our leaders until they die. And then you'll see all the footage they have on them. But today, Black Wall Street, Alabama, with the Courage to Change Now, coming from the new studio of the Courage to Change Now, will bring you that. But we would like for you to support. Let me play some of this right now, and I'm going to do talking points on it as I play it. So let me start this stream right now, and just listen. And if you can't hear it, please let me know.
And India was given that right to intermarry with white and become white. And you got a system we're going to talk about hopefully by the end of this thing. The system in this country is that people keep coming out, well, we're going to take over whites. You never take over whites. Whites have a process. Each group that comes in, they give you an option of becoming white at some point. So that way they'll always be the majority population. Okay? So Indians became white. Just like you've got Hispanics now coming to this country, all the Mexicans, Hispanics, and Latinos. 99% of them is classified by immigration laws and also by their driver's license being white. They are not part of what you all. They got a different issue than you got. And you got Asians now on probation to be white. Okay? So what we're going to do then, we're going to go back and track the Indians. That's the closest thing we can track in terms of reparations. Now, how did the Indians get some of the things they're getting? Indians got slick. Even though the Indians were not quite as bright as black folk were, they were slick. They didn't get the shampoo that we got, okay? Now, what did the Indians do? First of all, nobody ever said any place in the Constitution, any place else on earth, that Indians were a nation. Nobody ever said the Indians were a nation. What was happening in the country, during all the period we were talking about during the enslavement process and all the things in the 1860s, what was happening is that they were fighting Indians at the same time. All the way back when Abraham Lincoln was coming in playing this little game with black folk, they were now fighting Indians. But the difference was that you had the United States government, the federal government, fighting Indians. The federal government was responsible for protecting white folk. And so therefore in the Constitution, when they talked about, every time they mentioned the word Indian, it was only talking about Indians because the government had to fight Indians. The Department of War had to fight Indians and protect the citizens. So Indians were stipulated for those reasons. The rest of the Indians who went onto a reservation, they didn't have to pay taxes. But any Indian who was not living on a reservation, he had to pay taxes like everybody else. So that's how they divide the Indians between those who live on a reservation and paying taxes. Those who lived off did pay taxes. But Indians always had an option. They didn't all have to live on the reservation. They could go either way, one way or the other. So they set up this situation where Indians then were being controlled or fought by the United States federal government. So Indians in a special category. Now here's what happened. After the Indians lost most of the battles in the country, the federal government was still dealing with them. They lost, but they lost. So they tried to put most of the Indians on reservations. And they said to the Indians then, you are now basically a weak people. You've been a beaten.
Okay, this is I want to explain a little why I started it there. This is a part where I'm showing you how we missed the boat. The Indians are now considered a nation. They have tax-free basis or status. They a lot of things that they have. If we was united and come together, we could be declared a nation. In fact, we are already a nation. Dr. Martin Luther King in 1968, in his last speech, he said if we was to call ourselves a nation, we would be the 10th richest nation in the world, or in America. In America, the 10th, in the world, that's what it is, in the world, because there was only 9 other nations that was richer than us. But yet and still, those nations that richer than us take care of their whole country. But those nations that's not as rich as us still take care of their whole nation. Although the IMF, the Federal Reserve, the World Bank, all that got them in a vice right now with their natural resources and property, but they still an independent nation. It's not much as you're going to hear from Dr. Claud Anderson. He served with President Carter. He helped him get elected. This man is wise, but who talks about him? Who showcase him? Not CNN, not CBS, not NBC, but here, the Courage to Change. We're going to look to work with this brother here and some of his literature that he have.
And so the Indians said, well, as a beaten people, and we're on the reservation, what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do, unlike those blacks over there, unlike those black slaves who just came out of slavery, we're not going to be like them. We're not going to be as foolish as they are. What the Indians say is what we're going to do now is that since we've lost our land, we're going to first of all lay a claim against the land. So Indians laid a claim against the land, saying that all the land in the United States originally belonged to us. We had a natural right to it.
Okay, I want to stop it right there. They laid a claim to the land. Now we know that the earth belongs to the righteous. God is here, and Jesus in the 4th chapter, 17th verse of Matthew, he proclaimed that the kingdom of God is at hand. So if God is the sovereign owner of the earth, and we are from his lineage, we are the righteous, the earth belongs to the righteous. Why don't we lay claim to it? And then we'll battle it out. We have a lot of lawyers. We have a lot of professional people that's in the financial industry that can dole out a case before the government about reparation, not for individuals, for a nation of people that have been robbed and robbed of the opportunity to even do for self in this country. I mean, murder is no statute of limitation on murder, and we know 300 people were murdered in over 300 in Tulsa. Fraud is not It's no statute of limitation on fraud. But we could go back and state a claim to this government, not for some pennies, but like President, the government, I won't say Trump, I'll say the government just doled out or pulled, had $2 trillion or more printed out for a crisis. Our community been in a crisis for many years, and they claim that they have no money to help us. Every year they come to our every election year they come to our community and buy off the leaders, the preachers, the organization leaders who herd our people out to vote, and they don't even know what they voting for. So we got to take hold. We got to organize. We got to be courageous. And this is why the courage to change now is necessary. And I want to say this, that the courage to change now is made available because of my relationship with the founder and CEO with inclusive game design, which is the one that is putting this platform on for us and keep working with me to make sure that we have a platform to put our news on as a service to the community. Brother Kansu Hotep Hatum he's a good friend of mine. We agree on a whole lot of things, and he is far, even though he is of a white hue, you couldn't tell it, not even by his name, Kansu. You got many of us that still want to stay in the slave master's name. My name is Hillman Muhammad. I don't use the Akbar that much, but that's my name. And but I want to thank Brother Kansu for all the help he's given me, and he know my views, but my views is not against anyone. It's for our people that are in an ignorant, vulnerable stage, going back out in this society after this flattening. I know what happened in 2008, 2009. This thing here makes 2008, 2009 like a child's play. The $2 trillion that I mentioned and more. Right now, I'm reading reports from different organizations. That money haven't trickled down any farther than the big corporation that got the money the last time when I lost my business. I mean, they gave out stimulus package to the financial institution, and they flew up there in their private jet. I had four cars on my limousine line at that time, and two or three of them went backwards, like being repossessed, while these crooks went up to DC in their private plane and got a big stimulus check from the TARP program that could be beneficial right now because it was for that TARP program. Look it up, TARP, that's the acronym. It was for a time like this to help the American citizens battle through a crisis. But they went up there, got it, and it was supposed to bail out the small businesses. You do your research and see how many small businesses are getting any of this stimulus package or this care program that is being doled out. And no organization. We are nonprofit. We haven't even been. I filed the paperwork for my business, and I filed the paperwork for my nonprofit. I haven't heard a thing, but I'm not looking to, because I know until we unite as a people, we don't have anything coming. The Indians were smart, although he alluded to them being weak. We are weaker than them, but we say we are strong. We're not strong. We got people sleeping on the bridges that fought in wars. We got homeless people that got degrees that can't find a job. I was looking at a segment on 60 Minute, I think it was. You got people that's got degrees and got jobs in Seattle, Washington, but they can't afford the apartment. They can't afford that style of living, so they sleep in a tent, go to some place, wash up, and go to work. One of them was a postal clerk delivering mail after sleeping in a tent with her children. Man, this is cold blood. But the elite is the one that we have to press out of, because the scriptures say the bed is too narrow and the cover is too short to hide today. And we better start pointing. We better start opening our mouth. We better start united. Or when this world back opens back up, you're gonna see some hunger. You're gonna see some chaos, and they are poised to come into our neighborhood with the not the militias, but with the uh, army and with the other group. I can't think of them now, but the National Guards. And you know, our people is going to be emotionally upset over their condition. They're going to lay them down. And they don't care whether you're a $1 million earner. They don't care then because you're going to be black. And you're going to be driving while you're black. And all poor people are going to suffer if we don't unite. Okay, let me play some more of that because I'm
We
fired
didn't
up.
have any
I want to
legal
be on here
documents
about
or any
another 10
deeds showing we
minutes.
owned it. We have a legal claim to the land. So as a legal claim to the land, therefore you took it from us, you owe us. So what the claim was based on what they call natural rights. Indian says there's a natural right to the land because we were the first ones here on it. Even though in fact they were not the first, it was black people before those guys got here. But we don't talk about that today. Black people were here about 11 to 12,000 years before the present day so-called Asian Indians came here. Blacks have been here already. But they said that was their land. Okay? So therefore they called natural law to lay claims against the land. So that meant they tried to impose an indebtedness.
Okay, going back to not only natural law, but what about biblical law? When you read in Genesis, when this man was made in the 26th chapter, 26th verse of the first chapter, he was not given ownership of the land. He was given dominion of the land. Check the language, you'll see. Dominion is not ownership. So therefore, God never gave the land to anyone. He kept that for himself because that's his based on sovereignty. But now they have hoodwinked us. They have bamboozled us. And now we are afraid to unite because just as Black Wall Street, Tulsa, and other Black Wall Street united and showed economic power, they destroyed them. So now, when I talk about Black Wall Street to us in our community, they say, well, if we build it, they're only going to destroy it again. Well, build it first and learn the lesson from the 1900s. Learn the lesson from that and protect it this time. The Nation of Islam, which I'm a part of and was a part when it was destroyed, it was destroyed nonviolently. They took the alphabet boys came in, the government came in, and some of the Muslim world came in and hoodwinked us and duped us to destroy our security force, which was the FOI. Once the FOI was disbanded, they came in 1970. They started moving in 76. But by 1977, the 80 million empire that was documented in the People's magazine was no longer available, was no longer there. And this is the way they work. But nobody in the community cried out or supported that.
on on the government. Now, blacks over here who are coming free after slavery with the shampoo on them Lincoln. See, they thought we don't want anything. All we want is a chance to compete. We want equal opportunity. See, now Indians laid claims. All black folk wanted was an equal opportunity. Okay. Then the Indians turned around and said, we want to be into a trust relationship in the United States. So they set up called a doctrine of trust for Indians, which says since we are a weak and powerless people, since we don't own and control anything, then since you all beat us and you've misused us and own us now, then you owe it to us to take care of us. You see, you said you owe it to us to take care of us, so they call it a doctrine of trust. So the Indians then created a doctrine of trust so the United States government would take care of them.
Okay, what's stopping us from creating a trust? We want to create trust on an individual level. I mean, that is being sold to us. I know I've been approached. I have two trusts right now, but you have no right that this government is honored or expected to honor. I had an LLC when I had my limousine business, but they still penetrated that which I thought was a secured structure to be under. But if you don't know how to cross your T's and dot your I's, you got trained, organized people that's looking for that crack. I want to say this. When President Trump came into office, he ran on a platform of eliminating the Federal Reserve. His first act was to call the chairman of the Federal Reserve before the Senate Investigating Committee. And what she stood on was the fact that the Federal Reserve is a trust and they could not allow the government interfering in their trust. So she walked away with a big smile on her face. But we have to understand that we have to execute properly. We have to have trained people. And this is why I have partnered up with Black Wealth Consulting, who's got all of these professionals with them. Black Wall Street is now in partnership. I'm a member of their group. And this is what we have to start being associated with other groups and make ourselves bigger and broader in our communities throughout the United States. Stop being so damn competitive where we got to compete against each other, and let's compete against the world because the whole world is open to us. I'm saying, I'm talking like this because I'm telling you, I cry. I'm frightened for our people when this thing relax and go back, because it will never go back to normal as our people have envisioned it. But the dream of being free is just a dream until you get on the journey. But the dream is free, but the journey isn't. So that's why I'm going to ask again. Go to TCTCNOW.com and hit that donation tab. Hit that contact tab. And let's be a part of something that's going somewhere with your help. You could sit on the sideline and criticize me. I mean, you could nitpick me. But what's coming on you is from God. And if I am talking what God wants you to hear, then you're not nitpicking me. You're not isolating me. You're isolating God. You're attacking God. And I'm telling you now, right now, his anger is way up top. His anger is to the boiling point where he's bringing tornadoes week in and week out, week in and week out, rain, torrential rain, and now we coming into hurricane season. What do you think that's going to look like? And he's still piling snow up somewhere. So play with this if you want. I'm my hand, no blood on my hand, because I'm not afraid of the arrow that comes by night or day. I'm not afraid of anything because I have given my life to God. You don't have to take it. In 1991, brothers and sisters, I was in such a wretched condition because I had no control over my life. And then when God didn't let me go into that where I took my life, I said, God, since you won't let me take it, I'll give it. So this is what I've been operating on since 1991. And I have built cities, organization in cities after cities after cities. And I'm here in Huntsville on a world platform now. And you guys are playing with this, man. Come on now.
And as a result of that, see, then they could get free land, free labor, free medical care, free education, free casinos, okay? Tax exempt status and pay no taxes, okay? Now, here are my people over here talking about, we want, first of all, all we want is equal opportunity. We don't want you to give us anything. We don't want a handout. All we want is equal opportunity. Okay, the first thing. Secondly, where Indians, then they said, we are powerful, strong people. We don't need anything. Where Indians said, we are weak, take care of us. Then over here, Indians then said, we don't want to mix with you all. We are a separate people. We want to stay to ourselves. What we want to do is declare ourselves a nation.
Come on,
We're going
man.
to declare ourselves a nation, and we're going to write our own constitution to take care of our own people. Now go back over here to these ones that are being shampooed.
Listen to what he just said. Write our own constitution as a nation. This nation has two constitutions in place. The first one, we was not there. The second one, we was hoodwinked because they brought in the 13th Amendment after the Emancipation Proclamation. They had to write a new constitution, another one. Okay, they wrote that and they put in for the blacks supposed to be the 13th Amendment, saying it was a violation to enslave people, except the clause in there, except that they created a crime, especially a felon, then they were assigned to prison, which is another form of slavery. And right now, brothers and sisters, families are being destroyed behind this prison industrial complex that corporation, top 500 corporations, are waxing rich over the slave labor of blacks, Hispanic, and poor whites that are in the prison, overpopulated right now, to the fact that they are slaves again. They don't put us in slave according to the 13th Amendment. Then the 14th Amendment was a joke, because the only people that really benefited from the 14th Amendment is the fact that they could uh, uh, it was for an artificial person. You know, that's what they could label us at. But then the corporation started looking at it. Well, when I become a corporation, I'm an artificial person. So therefore, they take advantage of the 14th Amendment more than that what they said it was intended for the people. But anyway, I'm going to go back. But we need our own constitution. We need to write our own constitution as a nation, and we number about 50 million here. No meaning we want to leave this country. No, we want to live and do business like other ethnic groups. The people from India come here. They have their own businesses. The Arabs come here. They have their own neighborhood. They have their own businesses. The Vietnamese, which I served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, they were brought here in the 70s, brothers and sisters. I saw them, how they are waxed rich. You go to Houston now, in the outer skirt of Houston, they have a whole community, nothing but financial institution. In fact, they even have the street sign and the languages in their native language.
See, what they want to say is, we want to be a part of your constitution, we want to move into y'all. You see, and they never once have they ever said that we're a nation and started developing some kind of a constitution or a national plan or empowerment for ourselves like the Indians did. That's why I wrote this new book I got come out called Powernomics. That's what it's about. Say, for once in your life, quit being shampooed, wake up and smell the coffee. So that's why I wrote that one. To say now, like the Indians, we're going to be a separate nation. We're going to be a nation of people just like Indians are. And the way the Indians got it approved, that's after they set their constitution, they kept calling themselves a nation. And even though blacks in America are a nation within a nation, they've always been a nation within a nation. Black folk are just as segregated now as they were in 1954. You're still not integrated in anything. You're just as segregated now. You're still a nation within a nation. All they got to do is declare themselves a nation, get them a constitution, and that's what you're going to get in Power Numbers. And y'all make sure you buy that book when it comes out, okay? You're going to get that. Now, so they got that set up. Now, what we want to do then is, so the Indians then said, they kept playing around with this thing about being a nation, being a sovereign nation, call themselves a foreign nation because they had to deal with the federal government, because the federal government was protecting the citizens. So then about 1832, a Supreme Court justice named John Marshall, and he ruled and made it official, because at that time we had a do-gooder white liberal out messing around with the Indians on the reservations, and I think it was in Georgia, and somebody, there was a law in Georgia that said, you know, they didn't want whites on the reservation stirring up the Indians. So the whites arrested him, put him in jail, something like this. He appealed, and they sentenced him long, something like 15 years imprisonment. He then appealed and went to the Supreme Court. They got in the Supreme Court in 1832. Chief Justice Marshall ruled and said that the Indians are a separate nation. He picked up that rhetoric that Indians have been pushing about being a separate nation. And then he said, well, the Indians are a separate nation, so therefore this guy got a right to go out there when he wanted to. And
with 1.3 to 1.10 trillion dollars, which is going to change, except if you understand the power of home-based businesses. You know, this is the wage earners documentation, but what about cash flow? We want to teach that at Black Wall Street, Alabama. We want to teach that through the movement of the courage to change, but we need your help. I just wanted to share something with you today and just give you an overview of what Black Wall Street, Alabama, through its initiative, The Courage to Change, could mean with your support. I can't do it alone. I got a couple of young brothers and a couple sisters that really they're young. They're not matured enough to understand. In fact, I spoke at Alabama A&M. I hate to call the name out like that, but I spoke there among black students that was in a media and communication class. They don't even know what I'm talking about now. They don't know anything about Black Wall Street, Alabama. I mean, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, the Carolinas, anything. They don't know nothing about the Nation of Islam having farmlands, having dairy farms, having canning factories, having supermarkets, having businesses, restaurants all over this country, and then doing trade with foreign countries. We had tons of ships, tons of fish coming in via ship from Peru. We had cargoes of clothing coming from Japan. We had shipments coming in of seafood coming in from Nigeria. Idi Amin in 1977 had already agreed to give us access to his sugar, his tea, his coffee, all of that. We could get it back. I was at a conference. I was at our Savior's Day convention in February in Detroit. I went to an international workshop with our international leader, Brother Akbar Muhammad, Abdul Akbar Muhammad, who spent a lot of time in Ghana and all of the Muslim world and the African countries. And we had people that was representing these countries that was at in that workshop. We didn't record it, or they didn't record it, which I don't know why, but I was hoping that would. But you had people that was working in and out of those countries with dual citizenship, stating that they waiting for the black man all over the world because we are the richest, we are the most educated, we numbered, we learned in master's house how to take care of all of his business, but they need our help. And then because we are 50 million or more, we could establish import export with their goods. They are tired of giving their goods to America and letting us starve. But I'm not talking about just Africa. I'm talking about South America. I'm talking about the isles of the Pacific, the isles of the islands, of the Caribbean islands, and Belize, and all of these countries. Even a representative from Korea was there. Him and his wife was there, talking about the help that is available to us from foreign countries. But they right now, because they have to go through this American government, which is set up against us. Just think, if we declare ourselves as a sovereign nation within a nation, how much easier it would be to do trade and commerce, to establish jobs for our people, to create an economic base for our people. We got enough money. We got the training, the scholarship. We got the experience in master's house, in a master's corporation, in those small cubicles, which is soon going to be too small for you, because I know I travel. I mean, I transported some of the high CEOs of corporation during that 2008-2009 collapse, and they was telling me, Hillman, this corporation that I represent, between me and you, they just concerned about their bottom line. They will do whatever they have to do. They're not concerned about people's being employed. They would tap. They ask us to go tap one of our favorite employer on the shoulder and say, Sally, I got some good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? Say, well, give me the bad news. Well, the bad news, we just got bought out, or we have to cut our payroll. But we like you. We like what you're doing. But what we want to keep you. But you're going to have to agree to doing half of Bill's work. Bill's workload have to now become your workload along with yours, and we're not going to give you a raise. And you may have to work extra. Would you be in agreement with that? Because we want to keep you. Oh, yes, sir. Then we go to Tom, And Tom, we got that proposal to give Tom that same option. Tom, you need to do half of what Bill is doing, and but we're gonna pay you the same salary, and you may have to work over. Now, what is that? What if we had our own independent nation? We could employ ourselves and feel secure. It's no 40 years and 40 years of enjoying your labor no more. People today get jobs coming out of school, out of college with a big student loan, big debt. I mean, credit cards and student loans are the biggest debt in a new graduate life. And they go to a job, and they lucky to get it. They paying that loan back, and plus they only last about 3, 4, maybe 5 years max on that job. So it's no retirement anymore. So it would be best if you do for self. And we have a program here at Black Wall Street. I am a affiliate of Carried Bars International, which is the biggest wealth movement in the world right now. We're in 146 countries. Our CEO and founder, Dr. Harold Syed, is a visionary, and he envisioned this back in 2009, and in 2011 he opened the doors up where we could exchange our depleting dollars into an appreciating asset. In 2011, started doing that with a free gold savings account that we offer each individual that we know, love, and trust, our family member. But how many of us are doing that? I'm not going to promote it here, but go to TCTCNOW.com and put your contact information. Tell me, tell us what we could do to help you. We got financial education on our platform. We have tax people on our platform that help you by defraying some of those taxes that's being taken out of you as a W-2 wage earner out of your earning before you see it. 25 to 32% of your earnings come out before you even see it because you're not structured right. And you say, well, I don't want to get in trouble with the IRS states on their website over 80% of the people, employees, have their W-4 filled out incorrectly and causing their employee to take more monies out of their earnings than they should. And then they have duped us into believing that's our forced savings account. So at the end of the year, you might get $10,000 back, but they take 18,000 out of your check. Then that 10,000 that you get, they made interest on it, and you don't get any interest. So look at that. Another thing, as a independent nation, we can open up our own financial institution. Vietnamese came into Houston and never put a dollar in that financial institution that was available to them. They kept their monies in a cash house with a trusted elder until they had their children grow up to go through schools and learn about financing and open up their own financial institution. We don't have to do what they did. We already got educated people that know how to run a credit union. A credit union. Just think, with the present banking system and the laws that's in the banking system, you put $1,000 in, and they're only are required to keep 10% of that thousand on the books. The other one go out to their holding companies and invest in neighborhoods and in project and that you don't get anything off of. You say, I don't trust my money anywhere. Hell, when the 401k failed, my wife in 2009 lost 50% of her 401k. She didn't even get a letter saying of apology. So who are you trusting? Who are you trusting now? But I'm going to cut this stream. I've held you long enough. I appreciate all that is on there. Brother Steve, Fountain, I really appreciate you. Brother Kansu, I pray that you're still on. Tracy Muhammad, I really thank Brother Kansu for coming on. I know he haven't been feeling well in a little. Ivy X, Sheila Westbrook, that's my niece from Beaumont, Texas. Brother Tony Gray from that lives here now in Huntsville. I met him in Chicago years ago. Sister Diane Watkins, uh, Marcia, I can't see, Wilberly, Teddy Howard, oh brother Rome, the $1 million baby. I appreciate you, all of you all, but I'd like for you all to do me a favor. Go to that website. Let me know that you appreciate what you're hearing. I'm not asking you to like it. You don't have to like it, but I want you to appreciate what Black Wall Street is doing for you, doing for the community by educating you into a something that needs you need education on. So I'm gonna cut my TV off, and I'm going to cut the stream off. I thank you all, and you have a blessed, stay safe Sunday, and I pray that I haven't cut into your religious service. That this is why I did the stream early, where we didn't interfere with some of your religious service that you're now getting used to online. I bid you all in the nation greeting of peace, assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you, and to my Carrot Bar family that's on Au.